one from @QuackAttack123. Similar to how Brown was brought in on certain packages last season, is it possible they do the same thing with Ty Thompson? Brown just can't seem to make accurate vertical throws or hit the receivers while in stride. And I just don't see that changing drastically. #Autzen Audibles. It's a really good question. Not the first part as much as the second part, because I go, okay, you inserted Brown into games last year as a running quarterback. You didn't insert him to throw the ball down the field. Like, you're asking basically the backup to do the job Brown is supposed to do. Like, I understand. Like, you see that. I mean, you do see it happen where you insert a guy who's a little more athletic as kind of a running, more mobile quarterback. That's not what you're asking to do here. You're asking the more mobile quarterback who's a starter to come off the field in place of the freshman quarterback who's going to throw the ball. I don't think that makes any sense. So I do 100% agree with the second part, though. I mean, that's just the way it is. And that was the point I was kind of trying to make on Saturday directly after the game. And then after rewatching it with Jared, I think we both agree it's maybe even a little bit worse on rewatch than it was live in terms of some of the decisions he made and some of the routes he didn't even attempt to throw to. And Jared can run through some of that. And he'll have a story on his machinations on probably up when you're listening to this or after you're listening to this. So I understand the point there. And that's kind of my concern with this offense is just, are they able to, from quarterback, manufacture anything down the field? And I don't see any way, though, just to answer the first part, that you would say, Ty Thompson, you're just going to come in on 3rd and longs and be our down the field passer. I've never seen that happen, like, really at any level. Maybe it happens at like high school, but like, that's just a weird thing to try to draw up. Like, I don't see that working.
Yeah, Quack Attack. I feel like the first part of your question is basically asking when does Ty Thompson start? Because you're asking him to do all of the starting duties of throwing the football and maybe not running it as often as Brown. It was on the rewatch. I've gone over this a couple of times in my machinations column, which comes out on every Monday on duckterritory.com. But Anthony Brown seemingly has the same issues week after week, and every one of these rewatches, we're not playing football for the Oregon Ducks. I don't have the same experience that Brown does on the field, but there are points when watching the game and rewatching it where you break it down just through the film room, in which they do all the time at Oregon, where Brown just makes simple mistakes. There was a pass to Johnny Johnson on Saturday that ended in a defensive pass interference, where if Brown holds the ball for like literally a split second longer, no more than a half second, and he launches it to Maliki Matavao running down the sideline, he had a wide open touchdown. So that happens far too often. I'm wondering if he doesn't have the confidence in himself to throw a deep ball because he hasn't connected on one yet this year. His longest pass of the year was to Jalen Redd on Saturday, which is a 63-yarder, but that was probably 20 yards in the air, 25. Good throw, don't get me wrong, good read. He talked about it post-game. He had the exact perfect read, which shows you that he can do those types of things on the football field. But it's tough. And it doesn't even have to go just for the deep passing. There's a moment I believe it was the second quarter, where Seven McGee was in the game. He comes out of the backfield and makes a great cut route on a linebacker. He's wide open. Brown gets pressure, but the offensive line actually does a great job of pushing away the pressure to the point where both offensive linemen and defensive linemen are on the ground. So Brown, in this screenshot that I have, Brown has the whole left side of the field to either run or throw a quick 5-yard pass to Seven McGee and have him run for the first down. And instead, he seemingly scrambles, and tries to throw a dart to Terrence Ferguson along the sideline, who's blanketed in coverage, and it's incomplete. So it's moments like that where you begin to question, like, how often can this happen before anything starts to change? Yeah. And at this point, the answer is nothing. Like, that's just how it is.
I think and I'm not trying to call out Quack Attack here at all, but I think there is a section of the Oregon fan base that just is trying to will Ty Thompson being the better quarterback. and the
Right.
better option short and long term for Oregon this season without really actually looking and seeing that he's not. Like, as of right now, like, we're trying to skip the parts of development and just get to the stardom and plug and play. And I think from what we have seen in the limited time that he has played, and you have to admit, yes, it is limited. It's a very small sample size. But Eric brought this up on the post-game show after Arizona that I don't think he's ready yet. And at least not ready to lead a team to go 12-1 and win the conference championship and be in the playoff hunt, or to go 13-0. I mean, if you're fine having mistakes and having a season that's 9-3 or 8-4 before a bowl game, like, then yeah, maybe he is ready for that. But if you're wanting a chance to win a playoff game or to get to the playoffs or to win the conference, I don't think he's the best option. And that's okay. Like, I just feel like there's a part of the fan base right now that's just trying to just make him the starter, even though what we've seen, even if it's a limited amount, doesn't tell us that's what he's ready for. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we're just trying to make him be the starter because he's the highest rated recruit in program history. And it's evident that it always doesn't work that way. It doesn't always work that way. Like, guys have to develop. They have to get better. And while we've heard good things about Ty Thompson, when we've seen him play, we haven't walked away feeling like he's just drastically better than Anthony Brown.
This would be a totally different conversation if Oregon hadn't beaten Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be sitting here going we'd be really on the fence of well, they can still win the conference. Is it worth doing this? The fact that they're in the college football playoff chunks, and right at the top of it, they're basically in a spot where they control their own destiny. Do you really want to put the reins in an 18, 19-year-old kid's hands and let him do it after the guy who's starting beat Ohio State? And that's with me acknowledging the flaws of Anthony Brown that we've talked about and that I brought up, because I do think they're legitimate. And we now have enough of a sample size to say Anthony Brown probably isn't going to be the best quarterback every time Oregon takes the field. I actually would say two of the first three games, I would say that was the case. Jake Haener was better. CJ Stroud's better. I think this weekend with Tanner McKee, there's a chance that that's the case again, frankly. And that doesn't mean Anthony Brown stinks. And doesn't mean this team can't win games, because they're 2-0 already, in my opinion, with facing better quarterback play. I do think there's legitimate concerns about what's the ceiling of this offense, and I don't, with any level of confidence, believe Ty Thompson makes this offense any better, which is the situation you're in right now. And we will see if the staff thinks differently in the future here, because if they do make the decision, and I think Matt brought this up in the offseason, of going the whole Kelly Bryant to Trevor Lawrence thing, where it's just the veteran guy is good and competent, we're still in the playoff chase, but bringing in the younger, talented guy takes us a step up. Maybe that's the thing that happens, but I don't see any evidence at all that is even really in the cards right now. And Oregon continues to be unbeaten, and I just don't see why you would make a change. So that's where I'm at. All right. Couple more